Hey guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is all about I have finished my medical billing and coding program. Now what? This question answered. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue. I'm a medical coder. Okay, so you have finished your medical billing and coding program and now you are getting ready to take your certification exam. Hopefully the time that you have spent in school, you have been preparing for this because you know what certification exam you're going to be sitting for. If you do not know and you are still in school right now and you're saying, well, I'll just wait till the end and then decide what I'm going to do. The best plan of attack when it comes to how to handle this time, because it is going to get stressful, guys. I'm not even going to lie to you here. I'm not even going to try to sugarcoat it at all. It is going to get very stressful. And the stress comes because people don't know things, right? When we don't know, that's when the anxiety can kick up. That's when all of these, the uncertainty, right, is going to come into play. The more you know going in, the better you are. Like when you're in school, okay, then you decide, all right, I'm going to sit for an AHIMA credential or I'm going to sit for an AAPC credential and stick with it. Don't let anybody change your mind. Don't let anybody, try to make you take something else. It has to be either the American Health Information Management Association or the American Academy of Professional Coders. Either one of these, either one of their credentials is totally fine, but you have to just make sure that you start with them. Start with one. That's all you need. A lot of times people will say, well, my teacher said that I should get this credential and that credential. All you need is one. When you look in the job postings, it'll tell you candidate must have a certification with AHIMA or AAPC. They're not saying candidate must have multiple credentials and that's the only way they're going to get hired. Never once have I seen those words. Now, guys, yes, when you are studying and you're trying to figure out which one, a lot of times I suggest going and looking in your area and see what credentials are they asking for in your area and go with that one. But AHIMA or AAPC are widely accepted everywhere. So either way you go, you're going to be set because it's what the industry is calling for. If it is not a credential with AHIMA or AAPC, I strongly recommend that you reconsider. And even though it may be cheaper or it may be free, that does not help in this situation, especially when you're trying to become a medical coder. Now, if you are wanting to be a biller, a medical biller, you do not have to be certified to be a medical biller. I will say this again and again and again. You do not have to be certified to be a medical biller. Yes, there are billing credentials out there. However, when I go and I look for jobs and I look up the job postings, not once am I seeing them ask for the billing credentials. You have to be able to maintain these billing credentials with continuing education units. Not only that, you have to pay for the certification exam. So that's more money. And if you have multiple credentials, you're going to have to produce more continuing education units than if you would have just started with the one. So that's why I always recommend, guys, start with one credential. Know which one you're going to go into. Even when you're in school right now and maybe you have a few months to go and you know it's not time yet, start deciding now which certification you're going to sit for so that way you can save the money for your certification exam, because both of them roughly is going to be $400, okay? It's give or take, right? But with AAPC, you do have to be a member of their association before you can pay to take a certification exam with them. So that's something to know. That's an additional cost. With AHIMA or the American Health Information Management Association, you do not have to be a member because they offer a price for members and non-members on their certification exams. So another something to know. And I will leave both links for both associations in the description box below, along with my contact information as well. So that way, if you guys are interested in reaching out, please do. Okay, so that out of the way, decide which certification you want so that way you can be ready. So many times I've heard from people, Blue, I finished my certification program or my medical billing and coding program months ago, but I haven't sat for the certification exam yet. What are you waiting for? I'm asking because The more time you spend at a school and all this time you spent learning about reimbursement, about ICD-10, CM or PCS, sometimes both, CPT, HCPCS, all the rules, the more time you spend at a school and you don't take your certification exam, guess what happens to all of that knowledge? It goes away. We're all adults, guys. We know that these things happen. It's very hard sometimes to be able to have to recall this stuff. The longer you wait to take your certification exam, the more you're going to forget, the higher your chances of not passing your certification are going to be, right? Because you're going to forget this stuff. Well, Blue, no, I just want extra time to study. All right, you've been in this program, right? All this time. Hopefully it's 9 months, 9 months, 12 months, or 18 months. Hopefully you're not trying to go faster than that. If you are trying to go faster than that, the max time that I say or I suggest that you guys take after you've completed your program to sit for your certification is 3 months. That is the max. And at that, it's usually I'm telling the people who have been through very short programs. Sometimes they say their medical billing and coding program was only 16 weeks, which is very heartbreaking because no, you cannot possibly be prepared in 16 weeks for medical coding. You may pass your certification exam, but this does not mean that you are real world ready. And not only that, you do have to take these assessment tests when you get out into the real world. And as we all know, brand new medical coders do have a difficult time getting into the field. The reason is, there's many different reasons, but some of the more popular reasons that brand new medical coders have a hard time getting in is because a lot of them were not properly trained. They go through these short programs and then they get into the industry and expect to make all of this money and to be able to have a job right away. But when these employers are looking for people to be certified, they expect you to already know how to code. And a lot of times these schools can be guilty of saying, oh, well, you'll learn it when you get out in the real world. I know because my school did that. Oh, you'll learn more in the real world. And just this is just to get your certification. So that's why a lot of times these new employers don't want to have to hire people that are brand new because they're going to have to train. The only way to combat this and to get people to notice you and to get that chance is to, one, you got to apply everywhere, okay? Number two, you do have to study because when you get those pre-assessment tests, if they throw one at you and say, go ahead and try and see what we can do. And if you do really well on this test or you show that you have potential to do really well, then you're going to get another call. But it takes effort, guys. It takes a lot of you digging into the trenches and being like, okay, I'm going to try this. Yes, when I started, it took me 2 months to get my first job. And I had to go through a temporary agency because that's what I had to do in order to get in. But once I got that first assignment, that assignment led me to a 3-month assignment. And then I went on to my second job, which was even longer, and then it led me here to where I am today. So don't get so frustrated in the beginning because you can't find a job and everybody wants experience. It doesn't mean you can't show your skills. That's what a lot of us brand new medical coders did. We had to show our skills. We had to continue to really highlight all the good things that we are bringing to this employer. And so that is how a lot of people get their first try because they're applying for jobs that are requiring experience, but you're still applying anyway because that's the only way they're going to be knowing that you're actually out there. If you wait around and you apply for entry-level positions, guess what's going to happen? You're going to be waiting for a long time because to find a place that hires brand new medical coders is a rarity, especially if they're going to post that they're looking for brand new medical coders, but it's going to be a place that they're going to be willing to train you. So sometimes they may not be so high on the pay scale, but at least you'll get experience. And sometimes, it'll just be a matter of time until you work your way up. So a lot of times people are getting frustrated and discouraged because they're not making what they expect to make. I don't talk about money on my channel. That's number one. That's the number one rule because it is different everywhere. But if you decide to get into this because you want to make all this money, this is what you're going to have to prepare for in order to make that money that you want to make, okay? Have a realistic idea of your local area and what they start medical coders at. Because again, somebody in Texas is not going to make the same to begin with as somebody in Michigan, or somebody in Florida is definitely not going to make the same as somebody in California. So knowing all of these things when you are in school, knowing what certification that you're going to sit for after your program gets done, when you're going to sit for that certification, that's really going to help, because now you have a path, and it's a clear path. It's like, okay, I know I'm going to finish my program on June the 1st. And I know by September 1st, June, July, August, September. Yeah, that's perfectly 3 months. By September 1st, I'm going to be sitting for my certification exam, or however long it's going to take you to get your appointment, right? Through Pearson VUE, or where you're taking your certification wherever you go, right? If you're going through a HEMA, it's Pearson VUE. AAPC, they have theirs proctored. So you'd be able to know. And having that good path, like, okay, I'm going to finish on this day, I'm going to take my test on this day, it's going to give you deadlines, and it's going to help say, okay, like it or not, ready or not, here I go. And you just have to go for it. Because if you stand there and you're just like, what do I do? It's 5 months later, it's 6 months later, and I still haven't taken my certification, it's a year later. Well, I'm saving up the money. When you were in your program, when you started your program, that was the time to start saving for those certification exams. And like I said, they're roughly $400, depending, give or take, wherever you're going. And not only that, the fees and everything else. AAPC has those fees, those where you have to be a member. So that is something to think about. You guys know that going in, this is what you need, and you have to be prepared for it. So again, knowing and having that timeline of when you're going to do this helps. Start saving money now. If money is an issue where you don't know if you're going to be able to pay for the certification exam by the time or whatever, you have time in order to save. Do what you have to do in order to get that money together for that certification exam. You cannot take that back. You can try to go out and get a job without your certification. However, people with their certifications have a very hard time. I can't imagine somebody with no certification trying to become a medical coder. Oh, I just finished my program. Somebody was commenting the other day that they had finished their medical coding program a few months ago, and they haven't sit for their certification yet, but they're already out looking for a job, and they want to know how much money they're going to make. Okay, you need to meet the commitment of fully becoming a medical coder by sitting for your certification exam. That should be your focus. If you are needing to get a job so that you can pay for that certification exam, I totally get it. But don't expect the full deal when you don't have your certification. You're not certification ready. And another thing, if you are saying, well, I want to do this because I want to start my own medical billing business, medical billing is completely different from medical coding. We're cousins, right? Billers and coders are cousins. But you have to have experience before you try to go make your own business. And that I'm going to be very firm about. When you come to my channel, you're going to hear positivity, you're going to hear real talk, you're going to hear the straight truth. So it may not be what you want to hear, and you may say, well, Blue, I want to make my own business. Great. Learn first from somewhere before you try to go make your own business. When it comes to things like medical billing, now you are dealing with people that are sick, people even that are healthy. But now you're incorporating, whatever the doctor is doing for this patient, and now it's the billing side of the house. You have to be careful when you are looking at these things. You have to have some kind of background, please, before you get into medical billing. I want to be a medical biller, and I want to just have my own business. At least understand coding. At least have had some experience with billing before you go out on your own. So that way it's not going to be so foreign. You're less likely to make mistakes. You're going to know all the little details about what you need to do to have a business of your own, to be able to do these things. Yes, that's the great thing about medical billing and coding, is that you can be your own boss, essentially, right? If you are a biller, you can have your own billing business. If you're a medical coder, you can have your own consulting business. You can have a tutoring business. You can do a lot of things when you are a medical biller and coder, or medical biller or coder, right? You can do so many things, but you need to have background before you start getting into all that stuff, because it's very serious what we do. What we do is not just for anybody. You have to be able to pass a background check. You have to be able to pass a drug screen. That's number one. Just trying to get in. You have to be able to do that, because we have people's sensitive information. You have to be of sound mind when you're looking at this stuff. You can't be under the influence. I've heard from people who say, well, Blue, I'm on a certain thing, and it's a doctor prescribed thing, and I want to know if I can still do this. Employers will send you for a screening. And that's all I'm going to say, because regardless of it's a medication or not, you need to let your future or potential employer know before they see something and they assume something else. So that is the only thing I can say, is to be open with them. Obviously, you know, if there's things that need to be private, totally, I get it. But at the same time, just know that that's what employers are going to be running you for. So something to think about. But have a plan, and having that plan is going to help you. It's going to decrease that anxiety. It's going to decrease those fears, because you're going to know, okay, when I finish my program on this date and I go take my certification on this date, I know I'm going to start applying for jobs once I pass my certification and I have it in hand with me, and I'm ready to go. I know I'm going to run into a lot of no in the beginning. I know that. But I'm going to come in armed with a very good resume and a very good cover letter. And I'm not going to make that resume and cover letter sound like everybody else's. I talk about resumes and cover letters a lot for brand new medical coders, because when you're coming in with no experience, you have to shine up every single thing that you can, that you know is going to be pertinent to this position. So that's the only way that you're going to be able to find some success. Getting discouraged and, you know, listening to people who say, well, I could never get a job, so I don't know how you're going to get a job, is the wrong way to go. Don't listen to negative people. Listen to the real talk. Listen to people who have been in the industry. Don't listen to other students. That's the worst mistake that a student can make, is listening to other students, because they're going to have their own anxieties and fears wrapped up into the things that they say as well. I've seen students try to do this to each other, where somebody couldn't pass a certification, so they just trash talked the entire certification process because they couldn't pass. If you didn't pass, it's not unheard of, because sometimes nerves get the best of people. You can have the best training, but if your nerves get the best of you, it can really take away a lot if you let it. So I'm just going to say that having this mindset is a powerful thing. When you are ready and you know, and you're getting into this stuff, and if you're applying, not just applying for medical coding positions, but applying for alternative positions that are going to get you some experience and background in medical coding, right? It's going to be related in some way, like with the billing, or with risk adjustment, or with prior authorizations. These are places that can get you relatable experience in medical coding, and that's going to help you to be able to get your foot in the door. But you can't give up, guys. You cannot give up, whatever you do. And I don't care how many times people say, well, I could never get a job. I went through that too in the beginning. And I was able to do it because I stuck my heels in and I said, nope, not going to give up, not going to give up. You know, and I had a great support with my mom. I was very fortunate and lucky. I say it all the time. I owe my career to my mom. And so My mom is no longer here. So what she left me was this powerful legacy, which I'm bringing to you. So what she taught me was you never give up. And I'm telling you guys now too, don't give up. It's at the end. If you're at the end of your program, is it going to be scary? Yes. Because you're venturing out into a whole new world, right? But it doesn't mean that you can't forge ahead. Be that pioneer for yourself, your family, and chart a new course for your life with getting into this. And even when you feel that fear, I'm still doing it anyway, because that's the thing. You have to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. It's going to be uncomfortable for a while, guys. But don't neglect the timeline. Don't go more than 3 months after your program before you sit for your certification exam. Even if you say, well, Blue, I'm just not ready. How much longer do you think it's going to take you to get ready? And be honest with yourself. But don't give yourself that pass to be like, oh yeah, well I can, I'll take it and it's another month and another month. Because by the time you know it, it's going to be a year. And then it's going to be a year and a half. And then it's 2 years later. I just finished my program 2 years ago. I still haven't sat for my certification. What are you doing? So with an open heart, I'm telling you guys, get on a timeline. Make sure you go no more than 3 months. And that way you can start your new adventure. And if all else fails and you don't do so well the first time, take it again. Take it until you pass. Because you will. If you have this goal in mind, you'll pass. And you'll have your career. But you have to want it bad enough. And that's what all I'm going to say. So I'm going to wrap this one up. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Please like, subscribe, share this video if it helped you. And I will see y'all on the next video. Bye.